Welcome back, guys. This is Strong Female Lead. My name is Tessa.
And I'm Trisha.
And we're back with another episode.
Here we are. We're sitting with some crystals.
Yes, we just wanted to start 2020 with only good vibes.
Currently, Hillary has one, and I actually do forget the name of it. I think it starts with an L, maybe? I'm not sure, but Hillary is currently holding that up to her third eye.
Yeah.
Is it labradorite?
No.
It's a famous one.
And I don't know what
That sounded,
it is,
I
actually.
only heard Labrador, like a dog.
Labradorite.
We can take pictures and find this out. And then we also have a black...
I want to call this
Everything's
obsidian
escaping
only
me.
because it's like so dark and or like some sort of onyx.
It's the most...
like super black.
Black. It's... black tourmaline.
Tourmaline.
Tourmaline or tourmaline.
I feel like that's like...
It gets rid of bad. And then we have an amethyst.
Which is my birthstone. What up, Pisces? Dang.
Yo!
Guys, I'm really into the zodiac again. I'm really into it again.
Tell me.
I was like, I love it. So I did my birth chart, and I know, right? Because, this is what I do when I'm at work, not working.
Like that.
I do my birth chart. My birthday is February 20th. Send me gifts and shout outs because it's almost my birthday.
Amazon.
Yeah. I should make a wish list. I will by the time this is released. But yeah, buy me gifts and come see my shows in Chicago. Fly on in for my birthday weekend. We're gonna do some karaoke. We're gonna do some
That'll be
comedy.
the best kind of gift.
Yeah. But so I found out that my sun sign.
Oh, you did all that shit.
Yeah, it was so interesting.
What's the rising?
So the rising is like so your sun sign is like the sign that like what is your birthday?
Taurus.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's like your inner personality, but your ascending sign is like what you would present as.
Aquarius.
Aquarius? This makes so much sense. Ugh, I feel like you just live into your zodiac, and
I think I do, and it's starting to kind of like freak me out. I just learned the Aquarius thing, and I was like, well, that makes more sense.
Especially with like the culty, like
it fills in the blanks
Yeah.
for what didn't fit with Taurus. Because Taurus is kind of, my motivations typically, like how I am sort of on a deep level, but then externally, I'm just way more...
ethereal, like
and Taurus are so like
very
grounded.
Love child, like I was like, this makes so much sense.
It does, because I'm like a lot of the Taurus stuff, like the stubborn and the resilient and persistence, and we're very loyal. Like I am those things, but then I'm like, why am I like so weird though? Also,
and I was like, because you never fit perfectly into one. But I found out that my ascending sign is Scorpio, and I was like, this makes so much sense.
Ooh.
So much sense.
Scorpios are more.
And
What are they?
dark and a little twisty.
Okay.
I mean, some would say that they're not most people's favorite of the zodiac.
I've heard that.
Especially the men, and I'm like, but I'm not a man, so that works in my
Do
favor.
they have difficulty in relationships?
Yes. Difficulty in relationships, like, strangely, like, hypersexual. But I'm like, I think it's more in an inquisitive way, hypersexual. But then I'm like, I want to get to know people through the zodiac. I actually am using it to help me develop some characters, like finding out, like, oh, this is what can motivate a person to do certain actions, and like kind of get some deeper details on like what could motivate someone to be moving throughout a story. Trying to get into some characters' minds. So I was like, I like this Taurus Aquarius.
You like it?
Yeah,
It seems like it's a bit contradictory.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No. I like it.
It's
Oh, and I found out at my moon, I have a moon. My moon sign is Aries, so I'm like, oh.
So how much does the moon impact? What does that impact?
I don't remember what the moon does. Probably nothing, but I was just surprised that it was Aries. Thank God it's not. I'm sorry. I have a real strong bias against Geminis.
Tessa, have you ever heard of the app called The Pattern?
No. Are they sponsoring us?
The Pattern people? Yes, please sponsor us. Actually, this is a call for help.
A call to sponsor.
Just to show you, I'm going to show you a little bit. It basically, it's not horoscope necessarily, but it gives like things like this based on your birth date and stuff.
I love it.
I know. And then if you go back to the homepage, the way that it's set up, it's just that easy flip, like a tiny paragraph flip, tiny paragraph flip. Like it's just so visually appealing. And I don't check it all the time. It's free though. And we could see how we connect. I connected with Zach's mom and Laura Marie Shane Hall's on it. Those are the two people that I have connected with on it. And it shows where you're different and where you're similar.
Oh, interesting. This is very interesting.
Yeah, you should download it.
Yeah, I will. I love that.
It's great.
I love it. Yeah, I think it's been really helpful in like kind of getting into the minds of, or adding like an interesting flair to some characters I'm trying to write right now. So, yeah, I love the Zodiac. I love like the compatibility ones, and I always try to find incompatible matches for what I'm writing right now. But I'm like, it's very interesting why something could work for a little while, but ultimately will not work.
Right, and maybe that had to do with the rising versus the sun, because it seems like the rising is what will bring people together, and then the sun is how you work internally day to day, and it's not your public face, or it's not like your external interests. It's just like your, like we said, internal motivations or things like that, and then that's what ends up clashing. Could be.
Yeah, and I think like, I mean, I love the Zodiac, but I don't put too much like.
Yes, it is the stars, people. This is the stars.
But I think at least my Zodiac is extremely accurate to my personality.
To look at it.
Extremely accurate. And I was like, God damn it. I also hate that this exists. It makes you feel just a little less unique and like a special snowflake that I always hope that I am.
Well, the message, everyone, is you are just as unique as everyone else who falls under a Zodiac,
Exactly.
which is everybody.
Yeah.
I know. It's just like, oh, wow, so these thoughts aren't even my thoughts. Like these things that I'm doing aren't because of some ideal or internal struggle. I'm just as...
Well, it's still individual to you. Like,
yeah, but also individual to the next person that might have the same thing.
Yeah. But do you think you would necessarily get along with someone born in your same like house of yours? Like if you met somebody who you weren't related to, who's also born on the same Zodiac, like had a Taurus and with a Aquarius ascending. Do you think you would get along with them better, or would you dislike them?
We might be too similar, but like I definitely get along. I've never met someone and found out that they were a Taurus. I've never met someone I didn't get along with that was a Taurus, truly. And like after knowing them for a little bit, not seeking them out. Yeah. Just like someone where I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I'm like very curious that like if some signs are avoiding me.
Perhaps.
Yeah, and I was like, wait a second. Do people not like Pisces?
I love Pisces.
It's like, that's rude of you.
Yeah. What's the reaction you get from people when you tell them you're a Pisces?
I think people are overwhelmed by my own love of being a Pisces, that like they don't really
they don't get the chance.
They don't get a chance to say
there's no air in the room to.
No, I'm just like, this is the best sign. Weird, so weird. I think like the two swimming fish are so accurate, at least to my personality. Like, but I think it works differently. Like if you. If one of these days, Tori will come on the podcast and you'll get to see like we have the exact same horoscope as we shared a womb together. But she interacts with her. You've never met her?
No.
Well,
it's got to happen.
She's kind of MIA and all over the place.
Oh,
building businesses and stuff.
Ooh, bossing.
Yeah, 2020 boss life.
When I tell people when they find out I'm a Taurus, it is maybe 75% to 85% positive. Maybe even like 80 to 90% positive. Usually it's oh, yeah. And then they'll be like, you guys can be stubborn though. But like it starts with, oh, my mom's a Taurus. Oh, my best friend's a Taurus. Oh, you guys are steady. Or something like, yeah. And then it's, whoosh, but you can't be stubborn. So like, I don't know. It's just kind of like stubborn, strong-willed. I mean, like
think those are
strong-willed
bad
is the
things.
positive
Yeah.
side of stubborn. It means the same thing. Like stubborn, I think, is the negative connotation of it. And it's what I think it is refusing to budge in spite of like evidence to the contrary, in spite of it not working, like just to do it. Maybe that's not what it means, but like having an opinion and sticking by it. I mean, as a Taurus, I don't know. I've never considered that to be a bad thing. Like everyone else is sticking to opinions around me. Why are they telling me that when I do it, I'm being stubborn? Fuck y'all. Anyways.
You were the only Taurus. I don't know any Earth signs, and those are the people who I think are avoiding me, which is rude.
We get along with you. Taurus and Pisces are.
Have you ever heard of a cusp sign?
I thought that was the rising. Is that not?
So
No,
I'm a Leo Virgo cusp because I'm born on August 24th, which is technically the first day of a Virgo, but I'm coming off of a Leo, and I've never been into this shit. As I've been sitting in a corner with a crystal on my forehead for the past 10 minutes. But when I read about the Leo Virgo cusp, I'm like, all right, you got me.
I'm on the
got
cusp
me.
with Aquarius, so I was like, oh, I think that's where we get along. I think that's where we find commonality. I'm February 20th with Trisha, and I was like, yeah, okay, because we definitely connect on like the weird, like let's start a cult, like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
let's get weird.
Any cult.
Yeah,
Cults all the time.
stars and like mysticism and like what's out there, religion, and I'm like, yeah, I think
A constant
that's
curiosity.
where we're, I think that's where
Because we do disagree on a lot of stuff, but we get along though, and that's the part
Yeah.
where it's like, even if you're disagreeing. Should we get into the movie or the show?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm brushing my eyelashes. Right now.
So
Okay.
this week,
Yeah.
this week we watched a little show on Netflix that's getting a lot of buzz, guys. I don't know if you've heard of it.
We're looking at you.
We're looking at you.
Yes, guys, it's Lonely Boy
Well,
from Gossip Girl takes New York in a slightly different way.
yeah. What do you? I'm like, what would his zodiac sign be?
I know, that's what I was thinking.
I'm gonna
Very
guess,
methodical, very patient.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess.
Is he
that
a
he's
Taurus?
Like, I'm just gonna say Capricorn. He seems like, yeah.
Did you know most serial killers are Geminis?
I 100% believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that if you can keep two narratives running in your head at most of the time, you could kill people.
Maybe
So
he's-
I would like to amend my original answer of Capricorn and make him a Gemini.
He may be a Gemini. But he's creepy all the time. So what I'm
I
not,
liked him. I
I'm
must say, I
misunderstand-
found him charming.
holy shit. Really?
We could be friends. Not in a romantic way,
Right.
but like I would go to his bookstore.
Okay. So we're gonna
Yeah.
explore
I
this.
sense that you disagree.
I mean, I guess just knowing what he's up to, I wouldn't want to be friends with him.
I still feel like he could be a very useful sidekick, very loyal, and those
Sure.
aren't bad things.
Sure, until you fucking piss him off.
He could.
He can tell you
he's
how
like
to
a great
keep the book.
stories. Great stories, and yeah, I would definitely be his friend.
So this
100%.
guy's name is Joe Goldberg.
Joe Goldberg,
And he's played by Penn Badgley, who is actually married to, what's the girl's name who is on Girls? She's the one who's friends with Leah Dunham, the British one.
never seen Girls.
Not Zoe Samana.
The other one.
Yeah, just not Zoe Samana.
That one's sister. So kind of a creative woman. The woman's sister is very creative, and I think she's an artist. But anywho, that gives him a little bit more cred to me because he seems kind of... Penn Badgley seems sort of boring to me. I don't know why. I don't know anything
Like as a
about him.
person?
Yeah, and I shouldn't... I have nothing to base it off of except Lonely Boy and
Got,
pictures.
it was a correct casting, and I absolutely loved every scene where he's stalking her because I was like just completely overlooked. Was
Overlooked?
hilarious. Like he was in a room, maybe 15 feet from her at a party. Nobody saw him. Just a brunette.
Yeah,
is that what's happening?
He's attractive, but not attractive enough to stand out.
No,
He's
just not scary, and so
he's
I wouldn't
not
call him
scary
attractive.
looking.
He's just not.
Got it.
threatening in any way. He's
No.
got a very slight body, a slight build to him, and I was like, I feel
I
like
don't know what
I could
Heidi
take
is.
him out, just like very thin, almost frail.
Yes. Especially in this. Because
Yeah.
I think because he's older than in Gossip Girl, it looks
Yeah.
different. But Joe Goldberg lives in New York. We don't know a ton about his past. That comes out more in season 2. But we know he was taken in by a bookstore owner who
He's an ex-Soviet guard.
ex-Soviet guard and seems to be using a former cell block kind of thing from that time,
Well, it's
or
a-
built it on his own to hold books.
Yeah.
But seems like
Well, why was the little door there?
exactly to feed the books every once in a while.
Well, I have been to like a very fancy library where you do have to go into a room like that in order to handle first
Yeah.
edition books, but you also have to like, take a class and wear white gloves. And I was like, why did we dropped some details, which made me
But
think.
why do you have a
this is-
little sliding thing to give food morsels, if you will? I think because
And
people
there were holes in it also. So it's like, if this is a
for
temperature
breathing.
temperature controlled box, why are there giant holes in
I
it?
think it has been or was used for humans at some point, was my guess.
Yeah.
But I don't remember if he says that. But so Joe Goldberg works at a bookstore. We don't know that much about him. He loves books. He's very into literature. He's a little bit of an elitist with it, but he's super
Listen to
nice.
everyone who's into literature.
Right, everyone is. And that's fine. And he meets a girl named Guinevere Beck, which with a cool name like that goes by Bex.
That is not a cool name.
You don't think so?
No. I was like, Bex is better.
Oh my God. I mean, Gwen? Vera? Something? No, you can't. No.
I mean, it's not a name that I would choose, but I mean, it's like, I think there
sounds
are a
like
lot
an
of
author.
nicknames in there.
Right.
Bex was an interesting choice because I was like, Gwen is super common.
Yeah, Gwen's too common.
Yeah.
But it sounds like an author's name. The
It's
full
the
name.
character from Princess Guinevere. What is she from?
Oh.
Is that Robin Hood, maybe?
Oh, is
Is that
it?
her name?
Well, that would make more sense because
Definitely
then
a
that
princess.
ties in.
Or, I mean, there's other book characters named Guinevere, but she mentioned her brother and sister's name, and I feel like they were always
Yes.
also characters from literature. And I was like, your parents are
And did-
extra.
And did she say something about it? Well, either way, yeah, the name probably has some meaning. And
yeah,
maybe
something to do with why she wants to be a writer.
and maybe Goldberg does. Maybe his name actually, if we looked into it. But they meet. He just he's narrating this entire fucking series.
Which he did well.
That is a
he should-
lot of
He
talking.
should narrate more things. I thought his tone of his voice was great.
He could do books,
Yeah.
like
I would-
audiobooks.
I would listen to him. read me a
But the
book.
narration was fascinating just because to hear his perspective, and it felt like we were pretty much hearing all of his thoughts. I mean, I know we can assume that there's other thoughts probably going on, but to see his connections and his rationales on why he's doing certain things. And so he immediately begins to stalk this girl after they have a barely flirtatious interaction.
That wasn't barely flirtatious. Yeah. I loved his narration, especially in their first interaction, because I was like, I see no issue with everything that he was saying at that moment. He was just saying, she probably has cash, but she's giving me a card. Or somehow he knew that she had cash, or maybe she opened her wallet and she obviously had cash, but she gave him a card so that he knew her name. I've done that. Who hasn't done that?
I've never thought that far. I've just reached for a card out of just habit
No.
and being like, maybe I'll need that cash later for something that's cash only.
Yeah. But then again, I feel like Joe might have a Scorpio ascending also, because I resonated very highly with his character.
Yeah, no,
and his
that's
choices.
fabulous. Great.
Yeah, but I saw no flaw, and I was like, what kind of show is this? At least that first interaction, I thought it was misled.
Okay, so we will definitely get more into how and why you empathize with Joe.
Yeah, Joe's not a bad guy up until end of episode or episode
So
2.
that's you assuming that he hasn't done anything.
Yeah, we don't find out that he's not a great guy
Usually
until very late.
crimes progress a bit. I don't think you start from this place, but you could.
I don't know. I feel like
You could just have a calling.
Yeah.
And it's just where you start from. So he stalks her, and basically
is that stalking?
that's what the whole show is, just him
Yeah,
and
but
his
in the
love for
beginning,
her.
Was that stalking? Like, who doesn't do a little research on people you meet on the interwebs?
Oh, fine. Yeah, of course.
That's a normal level of
I'm talking
stalking.
very quickly. He's outside her house.
Well,
Okay.
also, is Bex some sort of exhibition as not trying to victim blame, but,
But
you
you
do
will.
a lot of things directly in front of your window in a city like New York.
I unfortunately am guilty of not. I didn't have shades in a bunch of my apartments, namely my last one in Humboldt Park, and I have this weird thing where I truly do assume, because I can't see the people outside, that they can't see me. It's incorrect, but it's a bubble I choose to live in. So if there are videos out there, maybe I have a stalker.
Maybe.
That'd be great.
Maybe. But I mean,
Okay, so yes, got it. Joe, just
so
this hapless soul.
happening to walk down a street where a girl that you're interested in happens to live and
Mm-hmm.
seeing her inside her very open
I'm
window.
sorry, happens to live. He found her. She didn't happen to live there. He found her address.
I find addresses all the time.
Okay, so during the course of this, we may learn more about Tessa than we've ever known.
I'm really just disappointed that no one is stalking me. I feel like I've made myself very easy to find.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. I feel very unloved.
Oh,
And so
wow.
I found this whole thing very triggering, but for probably different reasons than some.
Yeah, maybe you do want to be stalked. What did they used to call it?
A
Peeping Toms?
What?
Have you ever heard that phrase?
Oh, yeah. A peeping Tom, yeah.
That's not a full stalker, but that's looking in the windows.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was peeping.
Yeah. Well,
He basically sets it up to develop a relationship with this girl, and then he tries to understand her. He thinks she's the one, and then there's various people that get in his way, which are just people in her life, and he starts to basically kill them off. I mean, that's a story, right?
well.
There's obviously
First of all,
more.
there's a lot of depth there. He's also got a tiny child friend named Paco.
Who, like you said earlier, he's grooming.
I was like, I didn't understand why Paco was there. Why did we need Paco for this story? Are we trying to make Joe more human? Because we were already on his side as the narrator. We only know what you're telling us.
I wasn't on his side
What?
from the second episode.
Joe's side?
Oh, yeah.
Whose side were you on?
I wasn't on anyone's. I mean, I was on hers to the extent that she was being, like, the way he would talk about her and fantasize about her, I was obsessive and making her into
Isn't
a character.
that just like new relationship infatuation?
So, I don't even know what to say to that. He's
I feel like when I
fully
meet
insane.
someone super interesting,
I'm
just
in
like,
this
I've
moment
gotta do
where I'm
a
like,
little
Tessa
research.
is...
I just had to do. If I like you, I know a lot about you. I'm gonna pretend as though I don't, mostly to see if you're gonna lie to me. But
Yeah, I do that too.
yeah,
Yeah, I wasn't, but I was never on, I was on hers because I felt like once I knew he killed, I felt like her safety was at risk. And the things that she was doing, while kind of all over the map and like not necessarily in her best interests and sort of, like going for the wrong person, having friends that are like not necessarily good friends. And just, I thought her character was a bit shallow, and then they were trying to make her seem very complex, or he saw some complexity in her that I didn't think was actually there. To that extent, I wasn't on her side and didn't like her, but I mean, it's not a reason to be killed.
isn't that the only reason to kill
Just
someone?
not being complex and not being as complex as the person who's obsessed with you is thinking you are.
I mean, I really liked the character of Bex, and I've
Really?
I liked her as a character. I thought she's it was very interesting to see her through his eyes. And I think that's
Yeah.
why she's not complex. Because when she opens up about the story about her dad, he surprised her. And I was like, well, if you knew everything about her and all this research, then you should know things like that she has a dad that has, died from ODing. Or
Oh my God, I
is
feel
left or
like an
something.
asshole because in a way I got played again, just like with, no, because just like with 500 Days of Summer, it's true. Like she's not that complex of a character, but we're only seeing her through Joe's eyes. We have no narration of hers. We don't know a single thought of hers other than a text,
Until the very end, that little like short story that she writes about herself, I was like, that is Gwen's
Right.
heartbeat, and I was
Right.
like, I totally understand this character, and it like recolored the rest of the series. That one thing,
fucking A, it happened again. The guy's point of view of the woman made her suck to me. I fell for it. I'm mad. It's always, I know it's set up to be like that, but I still feel like a schmuck.
No, I love that because I was like, and I loved the
Well
other
done.
character I loved was Peach. I was like, oh Peach, you obsessed bitch.
You love
was like-
a villainess.
Ugh. Well, but she was just so obviously in love with Gwen, and
Oh
I was
my
like,
God.
girl, just live your life. You're like,
My bladder.
yeah, and I was like,
I love
Okay.
that. And then he's like, you drank Jaeger shots. And she's like, oh. And like Gwen is
so
just
why would you come to my house to take you to the to the
she's so
hospital?
taken by like she's just very she's influenced very easily. As a Taurus, I'm not influenced very easily. In fact, like almost to the extent where it's difficult to influence me. And so I have like an extreme judgment against people who just are truly just like, oh, you want this? I'll do this. Oh, you want that?
Is
I'll do
Taurus a
that.
fixed sign or is it mutable? It's fixed.
fixed.
That makes sense.
So like I get it, and I know I'm on the extreme, but to see someone just so very quickly sway with everyone's needs and wants, I'm like, whoa. I can't even imagine a life
But I
like
don't
that.
think she is because she's still.
But we don't know her
pursuing Dr.
narration.
Therapist when she's
I know.
seeing Joe, so he's just so blindly on his own.
Again, dating other people, not exclusive, same as 500 Days of Summer, like, or not in that same mindset. I did like, that's why I was never mad at her that she was dating other people. I was kind of like, duh. What is going on in his head is not what's going on in their relationship.
Yeah.
She's opening up to him and she flirts with him and she feels a connection, and that's great. But like, that doesn't mean all of these things.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that we're in love and that we belong together or I'm yours, which
Right.
seems like that what he's never saying but always saying is you're mine.
From the
Not-
beginning.
yeah, and I'm like, I loved that. I
You wanted
loved
to
how that
save
was-
her.
Yeah,
Did she need saving?
that's my biggest gripe with male society.
I mean, she was in New York. She was working 18 hours a day. She was being pursued by a professor. She wants to start writing. She has a father that committed suicide or that OD'd. Yes, there's some chaos. There's some uncertainties, but saving? Fuck you, Joe. Fuck you. Now I'm going on to Team Beck and I'm having like trouble, but I do not like Joe. I don't like him.
Still on Team Joe.
Okay. So tell me what you thought of Benji. First of all, the name.
Yeah, and I was like,
An
somebody,
issue.
a moneyed man like that from Family Wealth named Benji is questionable. And I was like, what is your actual name?
He was
I think
just-
his name should be like Griffin. Like,
He was just harmless to me. Like, it was just, I thought he was using her. I thought
Yeah.
that he was, obviously he was using her.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I
She
didn't-
was in a way using him as well.
yeah.
And so he's an asshole. Like, fine.
Yeah,
He's
I
also like an addict and this rich little baby with a ton of money. And okay, did he have to be bludgeoned to death? Did he? Tessa, tell me whether that should.
I mean, that was necessary. He was obviously a liar. So Joe and I definitely couldn't trust him.
Joe was lying the entire time.
Well, for different reasons.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, so like obviously Benji couldn't be trusted. I didn't understand the choice to make him a villain because
You could have gotten
we
rid of
already knew
him.
that Joe was a bad guy.
Right.
Like going into this, I don't think that anyone didn't know that Joe had the capability to
Right.
do
Bad things.
questionable things for very slight, with slight evidence,
Totally.
and just to go a little over the edge, a tiny bit. But yeah, I didn't understand the choice to make Benji a bad guy because he's already a douchebag. But then we had him a murderer.
We had to make him a murderer. Now I forget.
Yeah, because
Did
there's
Benji
the
murder
whole there's a whole like little zip drive scene where Benji, in hazing someone at college, ended up killing a kid, him and his friends.
Oh, that's what I get for not rewatching every single.
No, I literally just watched it. This is why I can rattle this off. But yeah, so he ends up killing a kid while hazing, and so Benji tries to give Joe the zip drive with the footage of that
So he
to
can-
level the field, so he can let him go because he now has this leverage over him, and Joe has, they're square.
Right.
We both do bad things.
Right.
And I was like, well, I don't know that. I just didn't think that was necessary. We could have just left him. Like, no one was already going to feel bad that Benji died. He's a pretty unlikable guy
Right.
with his weird soda company. And I was like, okay.
Oh, it's artisanal. So I think it would have just been a lot easier to get rid of Benji by just setting up Bex to actually see him like fucking someone else or doing something. Like
Yeah.
it would have been he does enough stuff behind her back or with her knowing, but it would be very easy to just make it something that then she was over it. Like he didn't have to die because of it. Just
Yeah.
catch him doing heroin and fucking a girl and put Bex there.
Yeah.
It should be done. But then again, Bex, not sure.
Yeah. I kind of wanted Benji to be that brother character from the one with the other Olsen and Aubrey Plaza. What is that movie?
Yeah.
I wanted him to be that brother who's just
Ingrid
like
Goes West.
Ingrid Goes West. I wanted him to be that brother who like because he did meet him once, and I wanted him to like immediately see like game recognizes game, to be like
Yeah.
something's off with him.
That
You
made
do
me
get
like that other character. And
Yeah.
frankly, they looked alike too, kind
They
of.
really did. They might have
Wowza.
been the same guy.
Wowza.
Yeah, but
There's
you do
definitely
get
a
that in
type.
the like the parole parole neighbor. But I was like, but he's also
I like those characters that I think, I don't know if they're overdone or I just watch so much TV that I see all of them. But I do enjoy those characters that when you compare the bad to bad, the level of bad is probably less
yeah.
than the lead character's bad. But then because they're bad, they also, and frankly, maybe not even because he's bad. I mean, he got a freak vibe. He didn't get like an abusive asshole vibe. So he knew he had Joe's number from the beginning, but they're difficult to empathize with because of the way that they are, like beating, Paco's mom and just being kind of just a shitty alcoholic guy to have around their kid. So I'm always like, ooh, when they die, I'm like, that sucks. I don't know
Yeah.
if you deserved to die, but in the end, like, yeah, you weren't that great, but he could smell it on Joe. And I thought that was pretty fascinating. Like, I don't know what types of interactions they had that led him to believe that because it was one of the first things we saw him even say to him. But I would like to think also I would have been able to pick Joe out. I've been correct in the past. I haven't picked out killers, guys. Okay. But I do have a bit of a sixth sense that I'm starting to embrace a little more in terms of pathology in people when I meet them. And so far, since I've been kind of just like being more open to it, it's always kind of been like that, but I sort of, give everyone the benefit of the doubt. But now I sort of start from a place of the middle with people and also my intuition. And then I kind of like go back and forth, sort of depending on what happens. And ultimately I fall somewhere. So far, I've been kind of impressing myself. So, but it's also my interpretation, which again, that colors everything. But frankly, I think I would have been able to tell Joe was a motherfucking freak.
Oh, 100%.
But like perhaps dangerous.
Yeah, I think I would have. Yeah, I'm a pretty good judge.
It's a
Of
feeling.
people.
It's not even
Yeah,
a thinking
I'm very
thing.
rarely wrong about people.
And it's not thinking. It's really like the only place I don't analyze. It's like, what what is the energy I'm getting? And then how do I feel internally in
Yeah.
this person's presence?
Yeah.
And typically when it's really off balance, there's been some sort of like pathology that pops up.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah. I feel like
Bex,
I
how
think
did
I
you
could
not see
always, I think I would have had the same like hesitant to befriend someone like Bex just because I can like feel her
Chaotic.
energy of unaddressed trauma, and I think that would repel
Sort
me.
of needing and like you'd have to be like fixing or like I just, you know, and Peach seemed like she hated everyone that needed fixing except for Bex. She wanted to basically like keep Bex in a cage with just her and fix her. Peach was so hilarious to me.
I loved her, and I was like, I think she's the character I definitely would have gotten along best with.
Nothing we can't fix, Bex. But how about, I mean, now the vengeance of Peach. Let's get into this a bit. How she treats their friend.
Wait, whose friend? Wait.
The other friend who hangs out with them, where she then posts that video of her saying something racist. Peach. So this is the girl from Pretty Little Lies. Did you ever watch that?
I've only watched the new show, the Pretty Little Liars, when they're in college.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, go back.
It's too many
It's-
seasons. I feel intimidated. I get intimidated when there's too much, and I'm like, people already know, and then
Okay, then don't.
yeah.
But I'm shocked that you're able to, like, because I haven't watched the new one. I'm shocked that you're liking it without any of that background. Does
Oh,
it
yeah.
still have her in it?
No, I haven't. No. she's
Okay.
not in it. I
But
think
it
she
does have the
dies.
one girl.
Yeah, the blonde.
Did she die? Yeah, okay. Who isn't in the first season a lot,
Really?
P.S. Or in the first part of the series where they're younger. No, because they all think she's dead.
Right. You're right.
So
That's
she's
her.
in it, but she's not in it. So I'd be
I
curious.
almost wore my Pretty Little Liars T-shirt today, and I was like, no, it's too much.
Well, this girl is from Pretty Little Liars.
She's very
fame.
pretty.
She's beautiful. Yeah, she's like, okay, I get it. You're on TV, and you look this pretty on screen.
Yeah.
I'd probably like not even be able to be near you, or I'd faint or something if I saw you in person. Because people do look prettier in person than on screen. I've noticed in terms of actors. You don't think so?
I think they
Might just be Vanderpump. Truly, like seeing them in person, I was like boggled. Yeah, I was like, oh, I get it. But on screen, I'm like, yeah, you know, like definitely
I
like
think it's
way
like
above
when
average.
gorgeous people like that are also standing next to other gorgeous people. I'm just like, people. But yeah, when you see them like singular, I'm like, whoa,
Yeah,
you are a special snowflake.
that makes sense. I'm
Yeah.
like, I get it. I get how you made this a living.
yeah.
Didn't make sense to me before, but I get it now. Like Ariana, much love. Sending it out there. She'll never hear this. Ariana from Vanderpump, like a fucking unicorn in person.
Oh.
Pretty, very pretty on screen. In person, it was just like slightly uncomfortable. I was just bowled over by her beauty. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, this woman's beautiful. It's funny because she's a villainous person in this, and then in Pretty Little Liars, it's very, very much like an innocent, almost Bex-ish character. So seeing her like this, I felt like this suited her more,
Yeah.
especially with her looks. I don't know why. It just like she has very like sharp features that
Yeah.
are stunning and amazing, and they are meant to hurt.
Yes.
She needs to hurt people with that.
Yes.
Well, what about okay,
We
so
talk about Peaches extending.
yeah, like what do you think about Peach's plot? I know you like a good plot. Did you think it was a little overboard?
Oh, 100%. But
Okay.
you wouldn't expect anything less from someone so extra.
She's very extra. And I love that they truly they don't have to go to school. They have a lot of money. They're like, whatever.
Are they grad students?
Oh.
Right? Well, no, just
Or maybe
Bex
finished?
is?
The one said something, the one who had the racist video posted said something about sleeping with a professor at one point, and then was like, ovaries up, like made some ridiculously funny. I was like, that was actually decent writing. That's very funny to me for some reason. Because she was like,
Ovary up.
ovary up. But why would they? I guess is my question, because it doesn't seem like they're really like into anything that Bex is doing in terms of schooling, and they seem to have like a lot of unearned income. So I don't know.
Yeah, 'cause
Maybe
I
they
know,
want to
like,
learn.
Peaches is the granddaughter of J.D. Salinger.
Oh, right.
And so
And it's Peach, but I do like Peaches.
every time they said Peaches, I thought of the singer Peaches, and I was like, no, get it out of my head.
It's
Get out of
just
my head,
Peach.
Peaches. But Peaches, the musician, do you know Peaches?
The one who died?
Died? I didn't know she died. She just sings like very like raunchy songs.
Oh, okay. There's a
Kind of an
Peaches
EDM
who has a famous father who died of a heroin overdose in the past like 5 years.
vibe. Ooh,
Her name was legitimately Peaches.
God.
Well, shit. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't know that was
Benji.
real.
Maybe they were friends.
Maybe this is based off true events.
Maybe we should have
this
done a
is
little
that
more
Peaches.
research. Maybe this is Peach's story. So wait, okay. So I mean, how about the Peach and Joe showdown? That's really where this starts to get interesting, and this is what brings it to like the climax of, I don't know, when you're more knowledgeable about like story form and structure, but I feel like it does really start spinning around this time because that's when Bex is starting to like, they're breaking
Ask
up,
more
she's
questions.
figuring out, blah blah blah. So who did you want to win?
I mean, obviously Joe, but I was very sad to see Peaches go.
I was too.
I mean, again, like just because her storyline runs counter to our overall story doesn't mean I didn't love her.
She's just a girl in love.
Yeah.
And she cannot be held responsible for any of her actions.
No.
And I appreciate and admire a well thought out and executed suicide attempt that includes a log. I mean, well done. That's fascinating, and that is true commitment.
And I just kind of wondered if she'd done this before.
Yeah, I mean, and really, you are still taking a chance. I'm glad you're logging, but drugs can have different impacts on you.
Yeah, and I was like, is she...
Who'd you talk to? What
Yeah.
doctor's on her side?
Exactly.
I mean, because her weight has to be taken into account.
Yeah.
Any sort of like interactions. J.D. Salinger, man.
How did he die?
I don't know. Probably he's an author. Probably something bad.
Yeah.
Maybe alcohol. Who
Yeah.
knows? I have no idea.
I don't think I've ever read a Salinger. It seems like very
Catcher
like,
in the Rye?
emo.
Never. Catcher in the Rye.
What happens in that book?
Oh, don't ask me that. It was a long time ago. But it's a classic.
I would never claim to be well read. I read a lot, but not
No.
classics. They're all in my Amazon cart right now. Actually, I'm trying to get through some of these.
I gave
books
up.
that I should have read when I was, I suppose, in high school or.
I totally understand that. I got rid of feeling the need to. Like, just because I judged myself internally for many years for having A, not really read them during school and done Cliff's Notes, and B, not following up with them later. And I am not well read in the classics. I don't really have the attention span at this point for that type of writing. Like, I appreciate short, descriptive sentences. I don't like long, drawn out, just like crazy long sentences. I forget what I'm even doing in the middle of them and where I am and who the characters are. So I can't
Oh my
I
gosh.
can't do them. I know I can't do them, but I remember reading Catcher in the Rye because that's kind of like a,
Is that the one with Lenny?
no, that is Of Mice and Men.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But Catcher in the Rye,
Steinbeck.
that's the
See, I
typical.
know stuff, guys.
Catcher in the Rye is like the
John Steinbeck.
anti-boy, you know, like it any boy you met in college or after college, like it's like a hip. It's what I would equate with a hipster.
Yeah.
Like, of course,
Yeah.
Catcher in the Rye. You haven't, because it's a guy, you know, and he's just like
That's what I imagine.
just
like,
an every guy, sort of messed
guy
up.
in a very bad car with like hair that's
Smokes
long,
a
but
pack
not,
a day,
Yeah,
like just kind of
Yeah.
like.
yeah. And I was curious if Joe's character was supposed to mirror in some way or pay homage in some way to one of the J.D. Salinger characters, and I was like, that would have been
Maybe.
interesting because why that author? Why is her name Peaches Salinger?
There's a lot of
New York families of wealth, but you chose this also
and a lot of
literary theme.
authors that are referenced. So yeah, it might be kind of interesting to look to see the authors that she reads, what they're about, what he's telling people to read, like the Robin Hood thing. So the way you said Guinevere, I was like, maybe that is a connection because he has Paco read Robin Hood. And I like where he's like, they're weird. They talk so nicely to each other while they're killing each other. And that's really fascinating because that probably inspires Joe because he seems classically trained, like in life, whether or not he was, but he still is so proper no matter what he is doing.
Much like myself.
He could be bludgeoning you and he's still speaking very eloquently.
But you know why he's doing it.
You know why he's
Which
doing
is,
it.
You know, a lot of people don't get that kind of closure. And so, again, I'm on Team Joe.
Okay, question for you. So would you rather?
Ooh.
Ready?
Mary Joe. Okay.
Ready? Would you rather be bludgeoned by Joe, but with a description of exactly why and how it's happening in true Joe form, so you receive the closure that you may have always wanted in your life from every human being in your life, and you can project that upon Joe right seconds before your death? Or would you rather jump out of a building to your death? Because there may be a moment of flying that you may or may not experience. Momentary, I don't know, never done it. And I like to think it's not painful, and the only reason is because it's so quick.
You'd have a heart attack before you even hit the floor, so you'd be fine.
So
Your
Zach
heart
and
would
I have
completely
had that
stop.
conversation,
Yeah.
though. He doesn't agree. I assumed it would be so fast it wouldn't be painful.
You'd be moving so fast because you pick up so much.
But maybe
well,
you hit
how
so
high
fast.
is the building? Wait,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep.
How many floors am I falling? Because that's a distinction. Because like when Joe pushes that guy off the roof, like that didn't seem that far, and I would definitely be alive still when I hit the ground.
30 stories.
Okay.
You're dead. He thinks the pain would be like glorious, like horrific. Not for long, but it would definitely be painful. Me, I thought it would be like getting shot, like in a place that would cause instant death. When people say like they died instantaneously, I truly thought falling
always
from
thought
a
that
building
people
might be an instantaneous death if it's high enough, but maybe not.
I always thought that was something that people said to comfort the victim or the families of the victim. Not
Perhaps.
that that's actually true.
Because is there such a thing as instantaneous death? I
I
don't
don't
know.
think so.
So which one?
Unless you're like decapitated by like a red hot knife, that might be instant. Or like a red hot blade of like a guillotine. Maybe that's instant.
Maybe. Like, I don't know. And
But
no one
you'd
knows.
still feel it on the back of your neck until it went all the way through.
The only people that know are the people who have died in these ways. It's like religion.
Marie Antoinette.
We cannot
Please
prove any of this. Do not. But which one would you rather?
I think I have to choose jumping out of a building only because I don't want to die at the hand of someone who I loved. I'm sure I love Joe.
Got it. Wow.
I what?
I have no idea. I am speechless.
I nailed it. Which would you choose? But change
I hate-
Joe
I hate when
to
I give you
someone
this.
you love. You'd get absolution, and you'd have all of the closure, or jump.
I hate when I have these good ideas for questions and I just hope that they don't come back to me because I never know the answer. But I'm going to come up with one. Bludgeoned to death.
Or I'll give you a different scenario.
Okay.
Would you rather be kept in a glass cage, but in your own home, but you have to stay in the cage, and Zach is the warden of your cage?
Is Dee with me?
Dee is in the apartment, but she's not with you. Oh. Like you can pet her sometimes when Zach sees fit.
Oh God.
And you'd have to stay there every day but Sunday, but you're going to be married for forever.
Jesus Christ.
Or would you rather be in an all-day lecture, again taught by Zach, over the worst subject in the world? In your glass cage, you can have a TV. In the lecture, it's only an astrophysics lecture.
I'm in a glass cage also for the lecture?
No, just regular classroom.
Okay.
But it has to be on a topic that you'd hate.
Just
Top it.
one lecture?
Forever. I'm bad at this game.
Wow. So I'm essentially in a purgatory.
Yeah,
Where-
but like with someone you love.
Got it.
Why was I jumping off a building? Wait a second. I was trying to match yours, and I
Yeah.
was like, wait,
I know one
why
was
I-
being killed, one was killing yourself. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Well, for all of eternity, sitting in a lecture on astrophysics.
Not astrology.
That would be fascinating. Does Zach know astrophysics?
Sure he does. He's a doctor.
Okay, got it. Interesting. Do I have a TV in the glass cage?
Yes, because it's your real apartment, but you just have to stay in the cage.
Astrophysics, I can't be in a cage.
A glass one though.
No, I can't. It would drive me crazy. I told you how uncomfortable it was for me to get eyelashes done. 2 hours of being forced, only 2 hours, being forced to stay a specific way in an uncomfortable and slightly nerve-wracking position was, she had to keep asking me to relax.
Well, I would have chose the astrophysics too because you'd be so much smarter.
I'd be
at the end of
smarter and I could
eternity.
doodle, and you didn't say I didn't have a phone. I could be watching TV. There's so many other things I could be doing. Oh my God. Oh, off the rails. We haven't done a real good off the rails in a while. Like this one feels just right. Who else do we need to go over? I mean, okay, John Stamos, really quick.
Oof, Greek god.
He is a specimen.
I was like, what?
His
John.
earring, I could do without, but it didn't matter. That's the kind of person he is.
I only saw perfection. I was like, my God. I'm like,
I didn't like that he was
the
framed.
Greeks are moving up on my list of like to date before I get married. And I was like, never dated a Greek guy.
He's in season 2.
Oh, thank God.
Comes back. Yeah.
Thank God. I was scared for him when Joe tried to mug him. I was like, no, not John. I'm sure it's in his contract that he can't die. I don't think he's ever died on film anywhere.
Because he will live forever, and he will continue to look exactly the same.
yeah.
Like he bypasses George Clooney in terms of like aging. Just like it's unfair.
Yeah.
Because like George Clooney, yes, extremely attractive. Like,
I don't think he's extremely. I think he's extremely charming.
oh, interesting. You
He
don't
is
think he's
very
destructive?
charming. Like I don't
Could be
think he's as
charisma.
good at looking as John Stamos, but
No.
like I want to be near George Clooney.
Yeah, I would. He'd be
to
funny,
talk to.
little jokester, very
And
smart.
Amal. Ugh. I would literally befriend George Clooney so that I could befriend Amal Clooney.
I heard they're on the rocks.
What? No.
But hey,
Amal.
that's only in the magazines. But let's be honest.
God, she's
Sometimes
perfect.
that stuff does end up being true. Maybe not to the extent, but when you hear enough rumors about that, then like however many years
Yeah.
later, you're like,
If the
"Oh,
maids are talking. Then
amazing. Amal seems
Amal is just like
incredible.
the picture of perfection. Ugh.
She's just amazing.
My friend Amanda and I would just like look up news about her and be like, ugh.
I know. What are you
Her-
doing today, Amal?
Yeah, Queen Rania of Jordan. Ugh, another perfect woman. I was like, ugh, there's so many.
But Stamos
Michelle
is
Obama.
so hot.
Wow. And I was like, I don't
He's,
think
like,
I
in
could
his
ever
50s.
choose Joe if John was an option.
No way. I'm like Bex all the fucking way.
Yeah.
Continue
Yeah.
this.
And I was like, that was your first mistake. That was your first mistake. You should have left Joe immediately if John made himself an option to you.
Did. And I mean, yeah, he's sleeping with his patients, not great. And he does end up going to prison.
In season 2?
He gets framed at the end of season 1.
yeah.
That's her story. Well, that base, like Joe uses her story. Casting.
Casting. Yeah, this was the only trouble spot that I found. Like for what this was, the show. To say I liked it would be strong, but I love Joe. So
Got it.
there
Like
we-
the
this
show.
is where we find ourselves.
Love Joe.
Yeah, this is where we find it. But in terms of casting, I did think the choices in casting could be better, assuming I know that there will be a season 3. And if this is correct within, for those who have read the book and can attest to this not being a casting choice, this is how the characters are written, I'm like, then fine.
I kind of want to read the book. I think
But
it'd be an
Taryn's
easy
read
read.
them. Taryn's the only person I know who's read all 3 books, so I was like, she's the one why I even chose
Could
this.
she please come on? I love your episodes with Taryn. And frankly, I just love Taryn.
Well, let's not talk about her anymore.
One time I met her, I just really think that her and I will jive.
Well,
Would she want to go to the podcast?
You're both born in April, so you probably have more in common.
Would she want to go to Vanderpump? The podcast?
I mean, probably. She lives in like Skokie. I don't know that she's doing anything out there. So
Is that going to hurt your feelings if I ask
Oh,
Taryn?
no.
Without knowing her, almost like a blind date?
No. Somehow she's befriended all of my friends.
Okay, good.
Via social media, and I was like, well, that's weird.
I'm gonna DM her. Okay. Proceed.
But I didn't like when Bex and Joe break up, the character that he has the fling with and is like very like curt to and dismissive of is the only person of color aside from Peaches, who's also murdered.
Peach.
Yeah, and I was like, I just felt like it was a little dismissive of the people of color.
He was.
Especially, again, we're in New York, and like there's very little diversity. You get the character of Paco, who doesn't outwardly present as
Right.
a child of Latin descent.
Joe's a racist.
Nor does he speak Spanish, nor does he...
I think Joe's a racist.
Huh?
I think Joe's a racist.
Why?
I don't know.
That's leveling quite a harsh claim.
Just saying.
I don't think he's a racist. I think that those are all like that's all casting. That's all like extras and background work. And the two best friends, like one's white, one's Asian. But again, I'm like, I don't know. I just don't like it to feel like they're tokens. It's like, give them something to do, or at least fill the background with people of color. I was like, this is New York. This is New York. And I was like, how are you interacting with only
Well, I'm trying to
people?
think,
Like,
where were they?
In the Village. And I was like, again.
Is it the Village or is she in Brooklyn? Because Brooklyn can be
She's in
a
the Village.
little. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Which, did we ever find out how she has the money for
It's
that apartment? Is it Peach?
No, she's subsidized housing through her grad school.
But it's still a big place.
Yeah, well, it's probably rent controlled, so they probably own that building.
Okay.
They have owned it for forever.
Got it.
But it did look like newly renovated. I was like, this is a nice ass apartment.
I mean, that's just a typical like TV thing where you're just like, yeah, really struggling for the bucks, and you have this incredible place.
Yeah.
Maybe we all see where you could downsize.
Especially when we're supposed to feel a way about her friends having money and access, and like Bex is like, I just wish that Bex was like an actual poor person. Like, she went to Brown. Like, if she like, I wish that. And again, maybe this is coming because I don't actually know how old these characters were supposed to be, but I'm assuming that she's like 25. She's in like a second year of a grad program, but like she seems like she had a humble beginning in whatever part of Connecticut she's from, and then got into Brown, which is like probably on some sort of scholarship, felt a fish out of water, deepening the
She
resentment.
wasn't from a nice area. I thought she was kind of from.
I don't know anything about Connecticut.
Okay.
So I assume
Yeah.
it all looks like Dunder Mifflin. Is that Connecticut?
I don't know.
Or
I don't
Pennsylvania. Whatever. I assume it all looks the same.
Yeah, it probably does. It probably does.
Yeah. Well, actually, there's must be one nice part of Connecticut. Where do the rich people live?
Westport is one of the richest cities in the world, I think. Not world. Silly. The country.
Never heard of it.
Okay, so yeah, good point with the casting. Anything about the colors that these people are wearing? Because I know that's something that you always notice.
No. I mean, I think that what the characters were wearing was accurate to the time. I think like the lighting choices were probably there is always something to do with the colors
There's
on screen.
always
The lighting was interesting, kind of telling you that the way that they showed Bex, her lighting was like almost ethereal most of the time. Again, demonstrating Joe's view of Bex.
Even when she was like throwing up, or even when she was, not in a good space, it was still like, oh, maybe it's because he can save her. It's save you lighting.
Exactly, save you lighting. And then even when she's held captive, it turns into like a moody romantic candlelight. Like, I can still win you back. Like, it's like a dimming of the light, literally. And then I'm assuming the light goes out when her light goes out.
Yeah.
And then from what I've seen of the trailer, like the beginning of season 2 is that like ultra bright ethereal light when he's meeting this new person of interest.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like things like that. I do notice them. I do like things
good.
like that. The
I know.
visual cues.
It's a cinematographer in you.
I wish.
Okay, so SFL, strong female lead. What we look at is whether the female character is top billed, has agency, and moves the plot along. I thought Bex was the strong female lead. Top billed, she clearly has agency until she's locked up, and she 100% moves the plot along. Like her or hate her, and even though we're only seeing her based on Joe's perspective, she does all of those things. And at the end of the day, she could be even more of one that we like feel is quite empowered if we ever knew what she was actually thinking, which we rarely do. I thought she was.
It'd be different if in season 3 you get the female narrating.
I would love
Candace
to hear
or,
a female narration.
Or Bex or whoever this new girl is in season 3, that we get more introspection from them, because I agree. I think that Bex is a strong female lead, and I love the scene. I think it was maybe episode 8 when they're in the bookstore where she's calling him, or no, maybe it's earlier than that. Maybe it's like episode 3, where she's like rattling down the list. Whenever he burns, what's his face's body, when he's on the phone with her.
Oh, it's later.
Yeah, maybe that's.
I don't remember.
Wherever that.
But when she calls him out.
Yeah, she's calling him out, and I was like, oh, so you have noticed all of these things. And she is like, a dog with a bone when she's like, something about him is unsettling. I thoroughly liked Bex as a character.
That was weird, though, because there were things that he would say, but your room isn't big enough or your apartment isn't big enough. And she's like, how do you know that? And then we see her just move on.
Yeah.
And we assume that she's not taking note. But because that would be very unsettling to me. Like, and it is weird to me that she even continues with him, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
I do think she's actually really taking note of those things. And at first, I was like, dear Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, he basically just said he knows these things about you. How do you know them?
That's true of New York apartments. Like, that is like a, like.
Yeah, but the poetry thing, too.
The poetry thing, I would have been like, well, I mean, assuming he Googled me like I Googled him, I wouldn't be that surprised that he knew it. I would be surprised that he said it.
It's just a couple of things, but in New York. It's always like, I was like, got it.
Yeah. I also think that we have to, like, as viewers of this, have to call out our own bias towards Bex and thinking that she's stupid.
I know.
And unaware. And, like, as the viewer. And, like, we are projecting that on her because that's the narrative that we get as women in stories so much, is that, the women are just completely, this is all going over her head.
Because it's a male narration.
And she's also a blonde, which isn't helping us.
But it's a female written book. So I'd be very interested to see if or how it's different. I don't know.
What do you mean? Oh, the book is different.
Yeah, because this is such a female perspective.
Mm-hmm. I think in the books, Joe is we're still getting the story from Joe.
So
in
it's
the books.
Okay. I mean, not female. It's a male perspective. So it's interesting to think that a female wrote the male perspective like this. So is the joke on us first about Bex, and then about this being like a male-driven story? It's like maybe it's a commentary on a male-driven story. I don't know. Very
That's
weird.
interesting.
You know what I mean?
Very meta.
Because I'm kind of like, it's shocking, not shocking that a female would write it, but also shocking because of the simplicity in which Joe sees, like, he sees Bex as such a simple person. And it's like, oh, wow, a female wrote that. Mm-hmm. So does she think that way? Or is she seeing, like, showing us how males think that way? Weird.
Yeah, I think she's showing us how she's writing the story from the perspective of the male gaze, which I think is a very astute observation.
Absolutely.
And even more astute because I bet you're not the only one who didn't notice that we're getting this story in a very 500 Days of Summer type way.
Totally.
And I'm like, yeah, and that's something that once the light goes off,
I fall
you're
for
like,
it every
what the
time.
fuck? Like, what the fuck just happened? Like, you misled me, Joe. You misled me.
You misled me, you. And his you, just the saying of you, and I mean, we're beaten over the head with it, but I like it. It is a thread. Mm-hmm. It's you.
Yeah.
You. That happens in the second
Yeah.
season as well. So you thought
But it's
she
such
was,
a possessive you, and I'm like, I do love that as the title, and I think that the story also brings to light that conversation of like possession and like free will and usurping that free will, and like what is my agency in this relationship, and like what do I owe you as a party to this relationship? What is owed and what is like all that.
and it's a very story of mine, but it's called you,
Yeah.
and it's just, so this is season 1, guys. Originally, we were going to just mash season 1 and 2 into one episode, but they're so good that season 2 is going to be an entirely different episode next week.
Yes. I'm very excited to watch. Trisha and Hillary have already seen season 2.
Yeah.
And I'm the lone ranger watching it for the first time. But hashtag Team Joe, and I don't see that changing.
It was, and it,
Also,
yeah.
I wanted to point out that like murdering aside,
I like these, like, but like the more you know, because like your perspective sometimes is so like wildly in favor of someone who is committing these evil acts. I enjoy when you like take a step,
well,
or maybe you're not doing that right now.
Oh, I wasn't. No. Murdering aside, I just wanted to point out how much effort Joe put into the relationship. Like,
Yeah.
like if he hadn't gone off the deep end with the murdering, like I would be like, Joe is trying so hard and Bex is giving him literally nothing to work with. She's kind of a waste of energy for him.
All right, guys, you can find us on Instagram at Strong Female Pod.
Yep, and we're on the Twitter at SFL_Chicago.
And that's it for this week. Until next week.
Yes.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.